So I was asked how I make center pull yarn cakes. So I start off with the tail in my hand and wrap around my fingers, not too loosely, but not too tightly. If you do it too tight, it will get stuck. I have learned that the hard way. I've broken my yarn. I've gotten yarn barf and all kinds of um, knots and whatnot. So it turns into a hot mess. So I'm going to go ahead and go off camera so I can wrap this a little faster. So you wrap around your hands and you get a good amount of yarn for the center. And that should be enough. So I gotta pull that off. And then wrap around as close to the ends as you can get. So you go back this way and you get to there and then wrap back that direction and just kind of keep going back and forth. And you want to start building up the middle so it gets kind of like a fat middle and the ends are smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and go off camera again. I'm going to go ahead and so I can wrap this a little bit faster. And one of the things about not wrapping it too tightly that I forgot to mention earlier was it also, if you wrap it too tight, I've been told it can hurt the nap of your yarn. And so your yarn will be thinner because it's pulled too tightly, it's compressed too tightly, all of that. So here we got a nice, so you can see how it's rounded. So now you're going to turn it, and I would keep this tail between your fingers like that. Hold it, and you start doing your diagonals. So do about, I wouldn't do any more than 10 at this point. And then you're going to turn it. And I do what I call a thumbs width. So the back of my thumb, the pad of my thumb is touching the previous section. And then the next section I'm doing right in front of my thumb. It seems to be a pretty good distance for me anyway, is what I like. And then just keep turning and going around and going around. I'm going to go off camera again. And so I can go a little bit faster. But I actually started making these. I started crocheting when I was 16. I'm 41. And I actually started making these by accident. I was trying to make balls of yarn. And I couldn't get it to work, but I was making these cakes. I didn't know they were called cakes back then. It was, 96 or whatever. And so I don't think they had cakes back then. They didn't really seem to have them until a few years ago. And so I apparently was ahead of the times. I was cool before it was cool. But as you can see, it's already starting to, this is the center pull, and it's already starting to flatten out on the bottom. But just keep going, keep winding, and the bigger your ball gets, or cake, however you want to call it, the more you can wrap around it. So instead of doing 10 strands, you can do 20 or more, or however much. Just keep going. And eventually you'll end up with a flatter and flatter bottom. And there we are. Here, this is the bottom part. And I'll show you a finished cake. And as you can see, this is the top where the center pull comes out. And then the bottom is super flat. So when I lay it down, sit it down, you can see it's not going to roll. Typically. Now, if your yarn gets knotted or whatever, then yeah, you're going to have some problems. But for the most part, this stays right where you put it. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope this helps.